But first, I'm going to be a little bit vulnerable. I'm going to share a few moments out of my life. Kind of embarrassing. One has happened when I was your age. And when I was your age, we'd go up to, we had youth camp, but then we had, at the end of the summer, Pastor's Family Camp. And Pastor's Family Camp was cool because I got to bring my dirt bike and ride all week long on miles of trails. And one evening after dinner, my buddy and I decided we were going to go on an evening ride. And my parents and his parents and their friends all decided they were going to go on an evening walk. And so they headed off, and they were walking down the road from camp. And you know, they got about a mile away. And by the time my buddy and I got our helmets on and our bikes gassed up and ready to go, and we tore down after them, or in the same direction. We didn't know it was the same direction, but we headed off, and we came to this clearing that was our trailhead, where we were about to hit this massive hill that we called Widowmaker. And but they were kind of at this opening, this clearing, and I thought it would be awesome if I came around and skidded out my back tire, came around and did a 180, and then threw up gravel as I gunned off up the hill in front of everyone. It would be awesome. So my friend came around and headed up the hill, and I came around, and then my bike slid all the way across the gravel in front of, and all the adults are walking by. Kept my head down, ran over, picked up my bike, took off. Didn't make eye contact with anyone. It was horrible. Well, fast forward a few years. 10 years ago, Kathy and I started in youth ministry, and some people remarked to me, like, you don't look old enough to have 10 kids. Well, how do you think I looked 10 years ago? Okay, I'd go into speak at a high school, and they'd be like, "Who's your homeroom teacher, son?" You know, like, "No, I'm not a student here." "Well, what are you doing here? What school are you?" "No, I'm a youth pastor. I'm here to speak." And they, "Oh, okay, so but here I am trying to gain respect among some of the parents because I look young, so I was at a deficit right off. But this one night in particular, I had a cross, very similar to this one, on the ground, and we had a lot of candles on it. And God just really showed up that night in a special way. And students were just, God was just dealing with their hearts. And I had brought into the youth room a pie tin, and I had a pillar candle, just like this one. I had it on the pie tin, and I gave each of the students a paper. And I told them, I said, write on there something that you want to surrender to God. And then just whenever you're ready, one at a time, come just burn the paper in the fire and go back. And so I didn't expect, there were like 25 students in the room, I didn't expect them all to come up at once. But they did. They all burned their paper, and that instead of the paper burning, the candle, it liquefied really fast. And so I had a pie tin with this much wax in the bottom and about 26 paper wicks. So we had a nice little campfire going in our youth room on top of the cross. And it was, and then Brittany was playing and singing, and everyone had their eyes closed, and God was just touching their hearts in an incredible way. But I was pleased with that. But I'm looking around and thinking, man, our little campfire is really smoking out this room, and it was getting hard to breathe. And I didn't want to. I didn't think ahead of how to put out this fire, like bring a lid or another pie tin to suffocate it. Hadn't thought that far ahead. And so I went over to our water cooler in the back corner of the youth room, and I filled up a big cup with water. And I was stepping over youth. I didn't want them to, I didn't want to disturb them. And I was just going to settle down the fire a little bit. Just calm it down a little bit. But there was kind of a little science lesson in this for all of us that night. Because I learned that wax and water don't mix, and I stepped over youth, and the people right by the cross just kneeling and praying, and I very slowly just poured the cup into the pie tin. The thing exploded out of flame, 10 feet tall. It burned the ceiling in the youth room. Fire was coming out. Kids got up and they were screaming. And they ran out of the room. And as soon as they opened the door, I see parents sitting in their cars. They're like, they see this flame. And the carpet's catching on fire. And they're like, oh! I'm standing, I'm putting out the fires with my feet. I'm like, settle down, settle down. Melted our carpet right there. And so this one long-haired, greasy kid runs out of the room screaming to all the parents, that was the most satanic thing we've ever done in youth group! That was awesome! And ran down the road. And sometimes, I'm just going to give you guys a little secret, sometimes youth pastors want to kill students. That was a night that the parents weren't watching. He would have been dead, I promise you. But that was embarrassing. But the amazing thing is this. Nobody ever said anything to me about that. I thought the pastor would say, so I heard we had a little incident last night. Nobody. I don't know why, but here's the thing. We've all got embarrassing moments, don't we? But worse than that, we all have bad moments. We have moments that, well, we've got fun moments. We can stand up and, I ripped my pants in school, and we'd all laugh, but we have bad moments that we want to come up and share and laugh and be cool with it. We all do. And, I thought about this. If I had a time machine, there's some moments in my life I'd go back and change. I would have never gotten in trouble for zipping my brother into a suitcase to play Houdini. And then zipping that suitcase into another suitcase. And I would have never gotten in trouble for locking my brother in a closet. And even though he's the one that kicked the hinges off the door, I'm the one that got in trouble. I would have never gotten in a huge fight with my sister while my mom was having a ladies' tea upstairs. Wouldn't have happened. I would have never raided the girls' bathroom when I was in high school, Ken. I would have never gotten beat up in 8th grade. What a chicken! I would have never soaked in the hot tub to loosen up my legs before my big district race cross country. So it makes you really tired, and you don't run very well. And we all have bad moments, and we wish we could go back and change. Don't you? And here's the thing, you think about these bad moments in your life, and maybe they add up to so much, maybe you wish you could just be someone else. Have you ever wished that? Wish you could just be someone else, live someone else's life. And here's what I want us to do. We're going to just take a few moments in silence, and I want you to write down, okay, we're in the handout in the desert, write down in the space for notes on the side. I want you to write down things that you see in you and things that you perceive others see in you. And some of you this week have told me some things that other people tell you that aren't very nice. I want you to just write down some things you see in you, good or bad, and things that you think others see in you, good or bad. I'll just be silent for a few moments and I just want you to just write those things down. Now I want you to think about this. If there's just one thing, maybe one of those things that you could change about yourself, what would it be? Now, these things in mind. Let me ask you this. Would you be who you are if you changed everything in your past? Would I be me if I changed everything in my past? I think through what are some events that have made you who you are today, good or bad? Just think through, maybe even journal some of those down. What are some things that have made you who you are today? Last night we looked at Moses' encounter with God at the burning bush. But I have a burning question about the bush, and that's this. Why didn't God